Okay, we're now live. Leo, is that gonna stop you being able to see the board?
No, that's fine.
Can you see?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Right, cool. Scary.
Oh, that's funny. I was doing this the other day.
Yeah?
With my dad, because it was one of the key terms in our geography test.
What's that?
The body mass index.
Yeah.
Is it when you like do the, you look at the weight, the age, the
It's
height?
yeah, it's a pretty faulty indicator of your health, if you like.
But, like,
comparing your height and your weight.
The thing is, like,
Wait, does it work?
it depends.
It's a really, really crude tool. It's not. It does. You know, everyone does have a BMI, has a particular, but it doesn't. It doesn't actually tell you. You know, people can be quite have quite a high BMI and still be quite fit, for example. It doesn't take into fact your weight could be determined by muscle or fat. And obviously, having more of one or the other is better or worse for you, if you like. So it's a pretty blunt tool. It's okay as a quick diagnostic, but it's not. It doesn't really give you much information. You could have quite a low BMI and actually have quite a high percentage of fat, which visceral fat, which is stuff that kind of is linked to causing coronary heart disease and things
It's
like
like
that.
muscle weighs more than fat, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. So if you're a power lifter, you're going to have quite a high BMI, but you're actually probably quite fit, fairly healthy. So that's what I mean. It's not a perfect kind of measurement of that. Okay. So just having had a couple of minutes and time just to review that learning from the end of last term, I just got a few questions then. So. Can anyone remember what types of biological molecules, so not just carbohydrates and lipids, but what types of other types of biological molecules do you get, or might you come across?
Proteins.
Proteins would be one. So we've got carbohydrates, lipids, proteins. Anything else? Nucleic acids. Okay, so DNA, RNA. We haven't looked at them yet, but we will do as part of this course.
Starch.
So starch is what would it be? A carbohydrate, a lipid, protein?
It's sugar or a polysaccharide.
Yeah, good. It's a polysaccharide. What does that mean? Can anyone remember? 2 weeks off.
Have more
Pardon?
energy.
Not necessarily more energy. It can, I guess, give you more energy. But what is a polysaccharide as opposed to a monosaccharide?
It's made up of monosaccharides.
Good. Okay. So what was the analogy we used last term? You remember, Leo? No. So we talked about bricks, didn't we? We were talking about Lego bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did I say about Lego bricks? And how do they relate to kind of carbohydrates, lipids?
They're broken down to they're broken down. Just need to remember.
That's all right. Give yourself some thinking time. That's fine. Anybody? Okay, what do you build with Lego bricks?
Structure.
Build structures. Towers. Let's say, like simple, like a big tower. Simple. Okay. So, yeah, Raphael.
So the polysaccharides
Yep.
are made up with the monosaccharides.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So we think about a big tower, like of Lego bricks. That's our polysaccharide. Things like starch. Things like glycogen. Yeah. And those towers are built from those little individual bricks, which we call, in terms of sugars, we call monosaccharides. Things like glucose, okay, galactose, okay, fructose we met, yeah. So when we talk about starch and sugar, or glucose, are types of carbohydrate. One is more complicated, it's built of lots, starch is built of lots of little glucose units put together. So in that way it might give you more energy when you digest it. So you might get more sugar into your maybe. Okay. So carbohydrates, lipids. Can you remember what lipids were made from? So lipids, again, we've got complex lipids and we've got simple lipids.
Fatty acids.
Good. Fatty acids, were they simple or complex?
Simple.
Simple. Okay, so fatty acids are sort of simple building blocks. Okay, and what can you make with fatty acids? I'll give you a clue. Can you remember what we learned about when we learned about membranes? What did you find in the membranes? What was a major component of biological membranes?
Cholesterol.
So, okay, cholesterol is a type of lipid. It's not a major component of them, though. There's something else. Remember we drew the little...
Hydrophobic and hydrophilic.
Yeah, so it's a molecule that's hydrophobic and hydrophilic, correct? What was it called?
Amphipathic.
So that word amphipathic means, so anything that's, if something is amphipathic, it has both a hydrophilic and a hydrophobic section. So these molecules are amphipathic. Can you remember what they were called? Began with P.
Oh, phospholipids.
Phospholipids. Okay, so phospholipids are made from 2 fatty acids plus, what was the other building block we need? Begin with G. Yes! Well done, sir! Excellent. Glycerol. Well done. Yeah, excellent, Leo. So glycerol plus fatty acids, okay, can make phospholipids triglycerides. You get glycerol with 3 fatty acids, could also be called a triglyceride, okay? All right, this will be on your next test, okay? So you do need to make sure you spend some time reviewing this, okay? So, everyone, is this ringing some bells?
Yeah.
Who's kind of going, I can't remember any of the detail? Be honest. No, you can.
I can remember a bit, but like...
Who thinks they need to review it? Okay, yeah, all of you. All right, that's fine, okay? I deliberately didn't set you any homework over the break. I don't expect you to come back and remember everything, but it's just think about your own learning and think about how quickly you forget stuff. You know, and the best way to make sure you remember stuff long term, to get that stuff into your long-term memory in biology really, is to make sure that you are thinking. You know, when you have a meal, think, can you remember? I'm putting some olive oil on my salad. What's that made of? It's made of lipids. Lipids have glycerol, fatty acids in them. So getting yourself used to using that vocabulary in your brain, okay? You could obviously talk to each other about it as well. That would be a nice thing to do. But people might think you're a little bit of a geek. But there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. But yeah, just getting used to using the terminology and instead of just leaving it in class, actually taking it out of class and applying it to your own life will help you remember things more and more and more and more. Okay, learn to see your world around you with your biology vocabulary. Okay, it's like if you're going to learn French or Portuguese or Spanish, right? You're going to have to use that language. So you've got to use the biology language too. Okay, all right? Please do. Okay, so we've got these big molecules: triglycerides, phospholipids, starch. Okay, made from all these smaller ones joined together, and they can be joined, they can be built, and they can be broken down. Can we remember what types of reactions we use? to do that? It's on the board. You want to tell me anything about these? So it's just a review from last time. You spent a lot of time playing with little models, didn't you? Building these little mods.
Yeah.
Anyone want to tell me something that you remember? It's not a test.
It was, you removed like water molecule for, I think, condensation.
Okay, so good. This word condensation. We are removing a water molecule. Where else might you use that word condensation in English? What does that mean?
To put something and make it smaller.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
Like mirror two somethings and make them, put them together to make them one unit.
Okay. So making something smaller, perhaps. When we think about in chemistry, in chemical reactions, condensation.
It's from liquid to gas, isn't it?
Yeah. No.
Gas to liquid.
Gas to liquid. Yeah. Okay. Also, you know, when you're in a car driving along and the windows get all steamy, what's that stuff on the windows called? Condensation. Okay. It's formation of a liquid on the windows. Yeah. So in a condensation reaction, we're forming a liquid. We're forming this water as a byproduct. It's not the main aim of the reaction. Okay. It just is produced as a byproduct. When we take two subunits, in this case two monosaccharides, glucose and glucose, we join them together by removing a water molecule, and we form a disaccharide. In this case, a molecule called maltose. Okay. Remember this? So condensation, water molecule is removed, and then in hydrolysis is the opposite. We have to put water in to our disaccharide to break it into two monosaccharides. Okay, and obviously, hopefully, you realise that disaccharides can be joined together to form polysaccharides. Thousands of individual monosaccharides.
Oh, I think
joined together.
I put polysaccharides to glucose.
So
it's mono. Sorry.
So each of these is mono. Mono means single. Means one. You want to write that down? So monosaccharide. Mono just means one. Okay. Poly means
Several?
many. So poly, that word P-O-L-Y, just means many. So a monosaccharide is a single, one subunit sugar, saccharide, sugar. Polysaccharide, many subunit sugars joined together. Okay? What's the time? All right. Any questions about that? That's just a review from last term. Okay? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
When is the test again? The next test.
It's not for a few weeks. It's not going to be this week or next week. I will put it on to ManageBack so you see.
Yeah.
Before the exam, you've got something. We're going to be taking part in the Biology Olympiad, okay, which is not a test, but it is. But it's not a summative test for me. It's a competition, international competition. Basically, you'll come into class, you'll sit some online questions, and we're just going to see how you do. That's it. Okay, right. I'm not expecting necessarily wonders, but it's quite interesting for me to see where you kind of sit, you know. And it's deliberately it's a hard test. It's designed to be off the syllabus. It's designed to be just to see what students know about biology in general off the syllabus.
So no specifics.
No specifics.
Is it
I'll
like a
feel better.
competition?
It's a competition, yeah. It's a competition. So last year we had two students who got highly. Basically, there's gold, silver, and bronze, and then there's a highly commended, depending on your percentage score. And we've had two students get highly commended, basically. But I mean, to get bronze is really good. Okay, so like there's very few people who get silver and gold. Yeah. You're basically competing against people across the globe, you know. So it's And obviously, if English isn't your first language, you're already you're going to be slightly disadvantaged. You know, so I'm not, like I say, it's interesting for me. Hopefully, it's interesting for you. And it's not in any way. It's not going to have any bearings in terms of your predicted grades or any of that sort of stuff. So it's just something completely different. Okay, it's nothing to do with the DP syllabus per se. Okay, so I'm going to give you your new workbooks for 2.4. If you can just take one of those, pass them along. If you could take one of those and pass them along, that would be great. I'm going to open up the workbook here. So let's just make this a bit bigger. You should have this.
I think there's only 4 on this.
Oh, hang on. There should be definitely 5. Maybe I've been looking at one in my office. And just give me a second. And here it is.
There's
Who's
only
missing one?
4 of the
No,
those.
it's the yellow one.
The yellow.
Thank you. Yeah, it's got a lot of energy. I knew and I do know there's 5 of you, not 4. Okay. So we've looked at carbohydrates, we've looked at lipids. So just as a very quick overview, again, this term monomer and polymer. Monomer, single subunit. Polymer is the complex, like a polysaccharide, like a triglyceride. Okay. So just as an overview for you here, proteins contain the elements carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Okay, so they are slightly different from carbohydrates and lipids. How? What do carbohydrates and lipids contain?
Carbon.
Good. So carbohydrate, carbon. It's definitely got carbon in it. All biological molecules have carbon in them. What else have they got in them?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen, carbo, and then 8. What does 8 tell you? Do you remember? Oxygen. Okay, so if you've got ATES on the end of a word, it just means it's got oxygen in it. Okay, so carbohydrates, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Proteins are slightly different and they have nitrogen in them as well. Okay, all proteins have nitrogen. Okay, and they have this other thing called R group, which I'll get onto. So the units we're going to meet called amino acids. So these are the simple building blocks, simple monomers, and you join your amino acids together to form complexes called polypeptides. All right. So it's a bit the language is a little bit confusing. Another word for amino acid is peptide. Okay, but we tend to refer to them as amino acids. Okay. Join together to form polypeptides. This is many amino acids joined together, and polypeptides can join together to form proteins. Okay. What were the functions of carbohydrates? Can you remember the functions of carbs?
Energy.
Something to do with energy, right?
Short term.
Yeah, so they transport energy. What's glucose? What does it tend to be used for inside cells?
Cellular respiration.
Well done, Liz. Thank you very much, sir. Cellular respiration. What is that? We did it right at the beginning of the year. You remember? Cellular respiration, Raphael. You think you could tell me, define it for me?
No, I don't know. I know like the whole thing, but it's been...
So simple definition is it's a chemical reaction that releases energy inside cells. Okay, so it's a reaction used to produce ATP, releasing energy. So that's what carbohydrates are used for. What about lipids? What are they used for?
The same, and also they make up the cell membrane.
Okay, so they make up cell membranes. They have they do have some sort of structural functions. They are used for long-term energy storage. They're used for insulation. Think about polar bears. Think about seals. Very big fat animals. Keeps them warm. They live in the Arctic. So blubber and lipids are used for insulation. Okay, and buoyancy. All right. But in terms of functionality, proteins then have a huge array of functions. Carbohydrates, lipids tends to be something to do with energy, maybe insulation, right? Proteins, though, have a massive variety of functions. They can be enzymes. We'll get onto those next week. Okay, we'll be looking at enzymes specifically next week. They can be things called hormones. What's a hormone? Could you give me an example of one?
It's like related to adrenaline and all that kind of
Adrenaline is a hormone.
It's
Good.
not
It is a protein. Yep. So adrenaline might be one, insulin might be another one you've heard of. You might have heard of progesterone, testosterone, estrogen. Those are all hormones. What do they do?
They make you grow.
Okay, good. So some they have different. Okay, good. So I like the way you put in some cases there. So they have different functions. Different hormones have different functions. Adrenaline speeds up your heart rate, prepares you to fight somebody or to run away if you're really scared. Yeah. Okay. Huh?
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight. Yeah, that kind of that response you get when you're a bit like, scared of something. Yeah, butterflies in your stomach. Yeah, that's your body's kind of getting ready to kind of either have a fight or run away. That's your kind of primal, biological animal instinct. That's adrenaline. Does that to you. Okay. So hormones are messengers. They bring about changes in your body. Okay. Adrenaline speeds up the heart rate. Okay. Testosterone also makes you quite aggressive, but it also allows boys to go through puberty. Same with estrogen, progesterone in girls. Okay, it brings about what we call secondary sexual characteristics. Okay, so the kind of change in height, change in sort of bodily features, if you like. That's spelt wrong, sorry. I should say antibodies. So these are things used in your immune response, which we'll be looking at in grade 12. Pigments. What's a pigment? Anyone doing art? Two of you. Okay, what's a pigment?
It's the color.
Colour. Yeah, okay, so your hair has a particular colour. Well, you've dyed yours, yeah, but mine's kind of beginning to go grey. It's losing its pigments slowly, all right? But we have certain pigments. We have certain colours in the biological world, and those are brought about by proteins, okay? Why are leaves green? They contain a pigment called chlorophyll that reflects green light but absorbs all the other types of light. Okay, more on that when we get onto photosynthesis term. We have structural fibres, things like you might have heard of, keratin, yeah, hair and nails, girls, yeah, collagen as well, it's another one, and then we have receptors. So we have specific proteins that are found in the membranes of cells that act as receptors for other proteins, other chemicals. And we're going to look at some of these over time. Okay, so we're going to start with this exercise. So again, looking at the syllabus links here in your workbook. So we've got the first syllabus link is application 1. All right. So do you remember where this comes from? Anyone tell me? Where does this A1 and U8 come from?
This checklist.
The checklist, the diploma, IB diploma syllabus. Okay. Good. Right. I'm glad that you got that quite quickly. So you need to know the application: rubisco, insulin, immunoglobulins, rhodopsin, collagen, and spider silk are examples of the range of protein functions. So you need to know each of those proteins and what it does. Okay? And then understanding 8 that living organisms can synthesize many different proteins with a wide range of functions. So these are kind of related, right? Do you see why I put them together for you? They're related. That application, you know, the fact that you've got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 named examples of proteins, and then this understanding that living organisms are able to synthesize proteins, which we'll look at when we look at genetics next year in grade 12, how that actually happens in the cell. But they're related. We've got this idea that organisms are able to synthesize lots of different types of protein, and lots of different types of proteins have lots of different functions. Okay? All right. So, what I'd like you to do, I was planning on giving you your textbooks and asking you to find out basically which of these proteins does this. So I've given you the function for each of these proteins, but not told you which protein it is. So you've got to work that out. And I was going to get you to look in your textbooks, but I had a better idea than that. Okay, I want to introduce you to a really great web resource called the Protein Databank. Okay, so I would like you to get onto your laptop now. Okay, and if you could do a Google search for the Protein Databank. And I'll do the same thing. Whoops. Why am I... Protein Databank. Okay, we'll be using this quite a lot over the course. When it loads. Okay, so you can search. We're going to start with a very, very simple search function. All right? And all you need to do for exercise 1 is have a look at these. These are all enzymes: rubisco, insulin, immunoglobulins, rhodopsin, collagen, spider cell. These are all proteins. Okay? All you need to do is search for each of these on the Protein Databank, find out the information about it, find out what it is, okay? And then make a decision about which of these descriptions describes that protein best. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like I've just sort of tongue twisted myself slightly. Do you understand what I'm asking you to do? Okay? So, I kind of planned maybe 10 minutes for this. If it takes longer, no problem. But give it a go, and let's see what you come up with.
I've got like these different names.
What did you search for?
Rubisco.
Rubisco.
Do we just click the first thing that shows up?
No, well, you might have to have a look. Have a look at ribulose bisphosphate there. Okay, yeah, just let's have a look. Maybe that's not the best place to go. See, I've not done this before. Search. Okay, what I'd like you to do, sorry, probably best you don't use this databank straight away. If you click on Learn, and then go to the one, there's like a PDB 101, so it's like an introduction, and then use the search from there. That's probably going to be a bit easier for you, actually. So just try that again, let's see what we get. There you go, there we go. Okay, good. So yeah, you want the kind of learning section, the educational area of it. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to give you till the end of this period. The bell's going to go in 7 minutes. Okay, so let's see what we can do in 7 minutes. Okay.